If you're an ambitious person, you eventually reach this point in your life where you realize the truth about working for someone else. The first being, because you were hired to be a profitable asset for the company, you will always be paid less than your worth. Second, and it's actually the very reason the majority of jobs have trainings you go through or little courses you take before you start the position, is because they either currently or will eventually want to automate you. For the majority of companies, ideally in their dream scenario, they could fire off the majority of their staff and replace them with computers. And while we're not there quite yet, we can see the direction the world is heading currently. Plus, at the end of the day, everyone is replaceable in a business, because all that matters to businesses is the profit they make off of you. This is why you'll hear the sad stories of the old man who worked 20, 30, 40 years for a company, and then one day he went to work and was laid off. Number three, people don't like to acknowledge because it's an uncomfortable truth, but relying on someone else is a loss of freedom. Do you really like the idea of relying on another person, or worse, a board of money-hungry investors to live? Well, I'm not going to go overboard, be like, it's the Matrix and you're all enslaved. There is a little bit of truth to that in terms of you are sacrificing a certain amount of freedom for this illusion of comfort. And I say illusion because, as I've already explained, you're being paid under your worth and you can easily be replaced. And even if you do like your current job or your current employer, if you are an ambitious person, you should at least want to make the survival level of income on your own so you buy back some of the freedom that you lost. Number four is this kind of hidden thing that no one ever talks about or thinks about until they're actually experiencing it, and that is the hidden opportunity cost. When you work for someone else, typically your opportunities are only either asking for a raise or switching companies, and typically at best case scenario, you're looking at 10 to 20% increase in your income. But once you switch to working for yourself, your ceiling becomes infinitely higher. So even if you say left an employer to make half that amount of money working for yourself, in the long run, you are guaranteed to make more if you just don't give up. For example, Jimmy has 3 skills. He's good at writing, he's good at psychology, persuasion / marketing, and he loves his camera. He's like a hobbyist photographer and videographer. He's a real camera nerd. And because he's good at writing and marketing, he works for the marketing department of a company and makes $100,000 a year, which, after Uncle Sam has his say, is $73,000 a year. If he were to leave that position and become something like a creator, start an ad creation agency, or even become a videography teacher that teaches through calls or courses or consulting, all of a sudden his earning potential could 10x and jump to $1 million a year. Plus, to be honest with you, every dollar you make on your own feels like 3 times as good compared to a paycheck from a company. These were the realizations that caused me to drop out of college and fully commit to my dreams of becoming a creator and making money online, starting that solo business. And look, I know the phrase make money online has a negative connotation because of all the charlatans out there. At the end of the day, we all like the idea of that. And to be honest with you, for all the scammer, charlatans, grifter gurus you hear about them because it makes a good story, because humans have a negativity bias. It's a good upload for CoffeeZilla to make. Whereas all of the accounts of people's offers doing what they're supposed to do, no one talks about that, because that's just how things function normally. But anyways, I now have over 200,000 subscribers on my main channel. I've started my own business. I can work wherever I want. I can travel wherever I want. I recently moved to a new city, Phoenix, Arizona, because I felt like it. And while currently that may seem a little far-fetched for you, I can assure you that's not the case. At the end of the day, I'm just some guy who learned a couple skills and followed the path that I'm about to explain. For the longest time, my content was just vlogs, gaming, loosely entertaining stuff. I didn't really have any mission or purpose behind it. But the moment I pivoted to content that wasn't just to entertain, but also to educate, inspire, motivate, I quickly learned that this game, the game of the creator, the game of becoming a digital sage, which is the path we're explaining, is a game of IQ arbitrage. The reality of the world is that most people can't or won't go through the hard route to get the knowledge that they need to achieve a better life. This is why things like mentorships, seminars, courses, coaches, workshops will always be in demand, and they have been for countless years prior. And it's really not that hard to get into because you already have things you are authentically interested in, and you already have a decent level of knowledge around them. You don't have to be a master, you don't have to be a professional to have knowledge that is ahead of other people that are starting to get interested in your interest. This is part of the reason why beginner content always does so well on YouTube. The higher IQ people need easily digestible reminders, and the lower IQ people need a higher IQ person to explain things on their level so they can understand and get the results as well. Think about it in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In the bottom area, you have deficiency needs, that if you don't have it, it's something you desperately need just to reach baseline levels of human experience. And the top half, which is the growth needs, because at the end of the day, if you're an ambitious person, you're pursuing some form of self-actualization. And you have these interests and these skills and this knowledge that will help people move up this hierarchy at some level on it. And all you have to do is take your specific knowledge, which is knowledge gained through your personal experiences and connections you've made from consuming information, make it easily consumable and actually valuable, because there's a lot of fluff out there online and people can see through that shit. And what this does over time is you become a charismatic leader, because another truth of the world is everything is a cult. And no, I'm not talking about Scientology, I'm talking about things like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a cult that has cult members. I know because one of them is my girlfriend. She is religious and devoted to her Diet Cokes. People need a leader or a shaman or a sage or a messiah to guide them, because otherwise they will remain lost for the rest of their lives. This is why taking the path of the digital sage is so effective, because it plays on a basic human psychological need. So to take this position, all you need to do is find a common goal or goals between you and your target audience and or customer base, if you want to jump straight to a business. And understand that this is branding 101. A brand is merely an association someone makes, and you want to be associated with either the alleviation of pain or the achievement of pleasure for your target audience, the target avatar you have in your mind of the person you want to create content for and eventually sell solutions to. And pro tip, especially when you're just starting out, it's much easier to sell to, and I say sell, but it could be selling a free thing, like a YouTube video for them to click on, they're just paying with their attention, or a paid thing, which could be a course or coaching or community, towards the alleviation of a pain, because people just inherently move harder away from pain than they do towards pleasure. Just like mice. They did a study where they took a mouse and they measured his force that he was pulling by tying his little tail to a little spring, and they found that he pulled decently hard towards cheese, but pulled way harder when moving away from a cat. And over time, people are going to make the association of you with the solution to their problem, and then you become the leader guiding them towards this vision they hold for the future, which is a future free of said problem or with the achievement of said pleasure. Also, if you want to know the difference maker between personal brands that blow up and not, it's the ones that take contrarian stances. The biggest personal brands are the most polarizing. Think about Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, Andrew Tate, Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan. You either love them or you hate them, and that is actually good. It is a hack for garnering attention because it plays on the reticular activation system within the human brain. This is literally the system that triggers us into consciousness, wakes us up in the morning, and is used for sifting through information. Now you can see how this would be useful when they're sifting through information on, say, a social media platform like YouTube, and they come across you saying polarizing things. And when you stretch your ideas, perspectives, methods out to the extreme while maintaining honesty, of course, it stands out in your target audience's mind because it's novel, it helps them towards a goal, and it removes their need to think about it. And I have a feeling you're already poised to be this way because you've made it this far in this video, and that tells you that you're of a higher level of intelligence, and typically higher intelligence people also rank higher on disagreeability. But what does it look like in terms of an actual strategy to garner this audience, build this personal brand, and start this business? Because I don't want you to overthink this. I would love you to start taking action immediately. Action should never underpace knowledge acquisition. You should always be taking more action than learning things. So at the beginning, just go out there and share your personal stories, because this alone is more than enough to establish an emotional connection, gain their trust, and build your authority. Next, create a simple framework with actionable steps backed by your knowledge that deliver tangible results for the audience. This is really important, and a lot of people that are trying to make money online don't do this because they feel like they have to gatekeep all their knowledge and sell it all behind a paywall, when that's not the case. Because the fact of the matter is, 99% of people that come across you aren't going to buy anything you ever offer, but that 1% that will or would is infinitely more likely to purchase something you're offering if you've given them free stuff first. It's the law of reciprocity. It's what humans have functioned on since the dawn of time. I went to a coffee shop the other day, and I almost always tip when I get coffees, even when they're fucking overpriced and $9 lattes. But this time I got like a $3 tea, and I just, for some reason, I was unconscious. I just hit no tip. And then the guy was really nice and actually put 2 tea bags instead of 1 in my cup. And after I got it, I was so upset because I was upset I didn't tip him like the 50 cents or whatever it was. And if I felt like that over 2 tea bags, imagine what people feel like when you're spitting free game online. And while you could just do this part for a while and build your audience, eventually you create an offer that solves a bigger problem. The content pieces you put out are solving smaller problems, but this offer, this big thing, solves a big problem that is a game changer for the audience if you want to charge a lot of money for it. And because you've already positioned yourself this way and have provided so much information and knowledge to them and built your authority and became this leader, it is much, much easier to then sell an offer compared to traditional advertising where you're spending money to show it to people who have no idea you existed in the first place. And what this does is it turns your entire life into a business, because your life, ideally, if you're ambitious, should be towards bettering yourself and learning new things and exploring your interests. And all you have to do is then turn around and teach these very things at a certain level to your audience. And because the immense amounts of value you put out there, you get back money, which I don't worship money, but it is a tool for freedom. It's a tool for the car you want. It's a tool for retiring your mother. It's a tool for your kids going to a certain school. And it's the very reason why I no longer have to work at restaurants or warehouses or gyms anymore, because I follow this path, the path of a digital sage. Now, obviously, there's a lot of underlying psychological strategies and tactics and knowledge of content creation and offer creation and all of that would take 20 hours for me to teach you. But if you're interested in the idea of maybe learning that stuff from me, DM me on Instagram and just say mastermind and we'll talk from there. And if you want to learn how exactly I got to $10,000 in a month on this path, you can click the video on the screen where I literally break down the entire thing on how I made $10,174 in 30 days just making videos about stuff I'm interested in. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye-bye.